With more winter weather on the way this week, the lessons learned from previous winter storms in Austin that city officials say will improve how you get the earliest heads up.
Plus, air travel at a standstill. A look at the travel headaches in other parts of the country after record snowfall. First tonight, here's what we are watching for you as more freezing weather is expected this week. We have a live look at traffic conditions on I-35. This is near Ben White. And that overpass you see there is a concern for TxDOT if a wintry mix develops in the coming days. TxDOT is already warning drivers with this message on its digital billboards. It says, ice prevention operations ahead. Watch for road crews. This all comes as travel could get a little risky for Longhorn fans on the road headed to the Cotton Bowl Friday, especially for fans who plan on driving up Wednesday night or Thursday.
And state response resources are already on alert, ready to deploy where needed. And ERCOT, the state's grid operator, issued a weather watch alert that runs through Friday, although they do expect normal grid conditions. The city of Austin activated its cold weather shelters through Thursday as well. Well, we are here with Chief Meteorologist Nick Bannon, who's been monitoring this wintry weather ahead, and it's another cold night.
Yeah, and that's the story for the next couple of days, is the cold without the precipitation. We start getting into Wednesday night and Thursday, and then we start to add the precipitation in. But for the second night in a row, a cold weather advisory. Of course, these cold weather advisories replace wind chill advisories. National Weather Service has done some adjustments to some of the alerts that they give, giving you just a general idea. It's going to be cold tomorrow morning. It could feel between 14 and 20 degrees as you step outside if you're in these shaded areas, including the Austin metro. Where are temperatures now? We're at 37 in Austin, but already freezing in Georgetown, below freezing or at freezing in most of the hill country, and our eastern counties very close to freezing, if not freezing already. Clear skies for most of us, but there's some scattered clouds north and northwest of Austin that may put a slowdown to some of those temperature drops, but we still all expect that we'll be well below freezing as we start your day tomorrow. In fact, a lot of us will be in the mid to low 20s in the hill country. 27 in Austin would actually be even colder than it was this morning, although we won't have that wind that we had this morning, and our eastern counties getting down into the mid 20s. So calling for a 27-degree low in Austin, just a few scattered clouds overnight, but a widespread freeze ahead here tonight. Don't forget the 4 Ps before you go to bed if you haven't thought of them already. Coming up in first warning weather, we've got mostly dry weather for the next 48 hours, allowing you time to prepare for a potential wintry mix where you live. We'll update you on the timing for that and when we pull out of it and dry out.
All right, Nick, thank you so much. The city of Austin has revamped how it communicates with the public about cold weather events.
These tactics were discussed at tonight's Public Safety Commission meeting. KXAN's Brianna Hollis was there.
At an action-packed Monday afternoon at Peace Park, it was a snapshot of Austin's typical outdoorsy charm, but with one sight we don't see quite as often.
So we had to add a couple of more layers, bundle up.
Desiree Derone and a few friends are in town from El Paso. They'll be here through the week. The chance for an imminent wintry mix and the possibility of that blowing out their electricity top of mind.
Something that definitely has crossed our minds. We're stocking up, bought a gas stove, stocking up on ramen, soups, non-perishable stuff like that, just to hold us over and stuff.
We all know how quickly this can turn into this and how damaging that can be. Our last big ice storm in 2023 was plagued with power outages, the majority caused by tree limbs weighed down with ice falling on power lines. Viewers told us they had trouble reaching Austin Energy and other departments to address winter weather concerns. During Monday's monthly Public Safety Commission meeting, the city's Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Management mapped out streamlined communication plans and outlined training completed in recent months by groups like Austin Energy and Transportation and Public Works. This includes translating emergency messaging into more languages and a more efficient way to get information out to news outlets like us here at KXAN so we can answer your questions more quickly. City leaders say signing up for alerts at warncentraltexas.org is the easiest way for the city and county to inform people, neighborhood by neighborhood, about weather issues impacting them.
There isn't that one-stop shop at the government level where I can go in and get everybody's list of addresses as it gets tied to cell phone numbers.
Brianna Hollis, KXAN News.
And today's presentation also mapped out the city's plans for warming centers and cold weather shelters. The shelters, which are primarily for unhoused individuals, will be open through Thursday.
Families in one South Austin neighborhood are worried these freezing temperatures this week could start fires and spread to their homes. Now, this comes after a few encampment fires this past week. Neighbors say this homeless camp off William Cannon and Bluff Springs Drive keeps growing. Moraliva and her family have lived close to the camp for over 20 years. She says people from the camps make their way into the neighborhood. And she also shared her family's ring security video with KXAN. It shows what neighbors describe as chaos. The camera even caught this massive fire in the front yard.
I don't really have much of a clue who lives here. I just know it's multiple people. The fire department's come here about multiple times.
Well, the City of Austin's Homeless Strategy Office says its outreach teams are going out to the camps to tell them about cold shelters this week. Everything you want to know about preparations for the wintry mix, including what to put in your car's winter emergency kit, ERCOT's weather watch alert, as well as home preps. We have all of that at KXAN.com.
President Biden and First Lady Jill Biden were in New Orleans today in the wake of the deadly New Year's Eve attack that left 14 dead and 30 injured. New Year's Day, I should say. The Bidens attended a prayer service tonight hosted by the Archdiocese of New Orleans and met privately with victim families, community members, as well as first responders and law enforcement. This is likely to be the last time Biden will visit the setting of a mass crime to console families as president. Today marks less than 2 weeks left of Biden's time in office. Meantime, the judge presiding over President-elect Donald Trump's hush money case denied his request to delay Friday's sentencing hearing. Trump's lawyers argued the hearing should be postponed until after the inauguration, pending Trump's appeal in the case. But Judge Juan Merchan rejected that argument. Merchan had denied Trump's bid to dismiss the case in a ruling last week and ordered his sentencing on 34 felony counts of falsifying business records to proceed. The judge says Trump has the option of appearing in person or virtually for the sentencing on Friday.
Governor Greg Abbott has named a new Chief Justice of the Texas Supreme Court. Today, the governor appointed Houston native Justice Jimmy Blacklock to that role. Now, he replaces Nathan Hecht in the court's, and that's the court's longest-serving justice, who stepped down at the end of December due to the mandatory judicial retirement age. Blacklock's term as Chief Justice runs through December 31st, 2026, and before serving as part of the governor's general counsel, Blacklock also spent 6 years working in the Texas Attorney General's office.
Former President Jimmy Carter's body is being moved to the nation's capital tomorrow, where he will lie in state in the Capitol Rotunda. In Georgia today, despite rain and cold weather, thousands gathered at Carter's Presidential Library to pay their respects to the 39th president within the first 24 hours of his body lying in repose there. Carter's funeral is set for Thursday morning at the National Cathedral in Washington.
The CDC is reporting the very first death in the United States related to an H5N1 bird flu infection. The case was reported in Louisiana, and there have been 66 confirmed human cases of H5N1 bird flu in the U.S. since 2024 and 67 since 2022. Most H5 bird flu infections are related to animal-to-human exposures. There is no sign of human-to-human transmission.
Austin homicide detectives say they believe the man found dead at a homeless camp over the weekend was murdered. Police came across a burned tent in the green belt near the Nelms Drive on Saturday. That's in southeast Austin. Investigators believe the fire was meant to cover up the murder after the autopsy revealed the victim had sharp force injuries to his body. Now, that victim has not yet been identified, but is described as white or Hispanic, a man who was homeless and possibly had the nickname of JT. Anyone with information should contact APD.
The Lakeway Police Department issued a warning today about someone who is exploiting a parent's fear for their child's safety. The police department says a parent got a call and was told that their daughter had been kidnapped. And according to police, the caller then suggested they had obtained some information about the parent and the family. Lakeway police said officers were able to determine that the daughter and the family were safe.
Well, after 3 years at #1, Texas was not named U-Haul's most popular state for people people to move to. Texas fell to the second spot on the moving company's Growth States of 2024 list. South Carolina took the top spot, and North Carolina came in behind Texas at number 3. Rounding out the top 5 were Florida at number 4 and Tennessee at number 5. California experienced the greatest net loss and ranked 50th for the 5th consecutive year. KXAN digital reporter Abigail Jones has more findings from this list and where Austin ranks on the popular cities list in this story over at KXAN.com.
Today is a celebration of Epiphany, a Christian holiday that honors the 3 wise men's visit to baby Jesus. So the day is also known as Three Kings Day or Little Christmas.
And in many Latin American countries, the day is celebrated with a traditional pastry known as Rosca de Reyes. Now, we went to South Austin to the Mi Tradicion Bakery off of William Cannon, and it was busy. Bakers were hard at work making the colorful ring-shaped cake, and this was on top of the dozens of trays they made over the weekend. The colorful sweet bread comes with a fun tradition, the owner tells us, a small figurine in the shape of baby Jesus that's hidden in the bread.
Whoever is the luckiest person to get the baby, there's gonna be the tradition is they have to throw a party.
So if you find the baby, you got to throw a party. Rosca de Reyes is often flavored with orange blossom and adorned with candied fruits to represent the jewels of a royal crown. Cities throughout Central Texas began preparing to handle the possible wintry weather this week.
A shelter in San Marcos opened its doors this week in response to the temperatures. KXAN Sarah Alshay explains how both the city and a nonprofit try to help the unhoused community stay warm in these temperatures.
We've got these emergency blankets that we'll be handing out. These are heavy duty.
Dozens and dozens of emergency bags.
Gatorade. Keep these people hydrated, make sure that they are getting all the fluids they need, some protein bars.
The nonprofit home center passing these out to the unhoused community in San Marcos.
So we'll be out tonight on the streets looking for individuals who are unhoused. We'll hand them bags. We received a donation of bags from the Red Cross, so that already had some emergency supplies in them.
Something Director Hannah Durance says they do when temperatures take a dramatic dip.
We're not just going to be going to the main areas, looking behind certain businesses that we know people often are at. We'll be actually going into the woods, looking in places that people are less likely to be looking for them, and hopefully locate some individuals and get them out. Offer them rides over to Southside Community Center, where they have their overnight shelter open.
The city of San Marcos also making an effort to let people know about resources.
We've been actively trying to reach out to the folks that we know are facing homelessness to help get them that information, which we provided to them, and getting them there for their assistance.
With temperatures dangerously low this whole week, Durance says they'll be out every day.
Get them stable, make sure that we don't lose anybody on the streets in this cold.
Sarah Alshay, KXAN News.
And the city of San Marcos says it also has utility personnel on standby for any potential outages. It says the Public Works Department is stocked up on supplies to keep the roads de-iced if needed.
Well, flights have now resumed at Kansas City International Airport after record snowfall stranded many passengers this past weekend. A strong winter storm that's moving to the northeast caused a travel nightmare. Is this what it looked like over the weekend? You saw those long lines and a bunch of abandoned baggage.
Okay, we know that travel is certainly tricky across parts of the U.S., and it might be tricky here too.
It could be, and fine margins is the way to put it. A degree or two either way could make a big difference between many of us just having a cold rain on Thursday versus some of us having a freezing rain sleet mixture here Thursday, and those are the details we're continuing to try to sort out. We've got some scattered clouds mostly to the north and northwest of us. Some of these will drag across central Texas overnight, but they won't stop us from getting cold. We're all going to be below freezing tomorrow, but then we bounce back to 47 in the afternoon. A lot of sun, but a few high thin clouds around here for your Tuesday. So a colder beginning, but a similar end to the day, and not as much wind as what we had here today. Let me update you on what we're thinking as far as the timeline for now. With Wednesday during the daytime, mostly uneventful. Could be a few spotty, wintry mix showers that would be super brief and have a very minimal impact. And we're talking a bit of light rain, spotty light freezing rain, perhaps a few snow flurries or sleet pellets. That would be all. Just a 20% chance of that happening where you are. Wednesday night into early Thursday morning, we'll start seeing the wintry mix coverage spreading more, so that by the time you wake up Thursday, more of us will have had some sort of precipitation. We're thinking during this time, iciness is most likely in the hill country, possibly into portions of the western Austin metro. Then during the day on Thursday through the first few hours of Friday, we'll continue with the theme of a wintry mix to the west and rain to the east. I think we'll turn more to rain during the day on Thursday and potentially back to a wintry mix Thursday night into early Friday as those nighttime temperatures cool off. This trough of low pressure working through the western states will continue to head southward. As it does so, it's going to be pulling moisture out ahead of it. We'll see it first in the form of all these clouds in the gray, and then as we get into your Wednesday night and Thursday, then we'll start seeing the actual precipitation. Snow in the blue, pink is sleet or freezing rain, and then the green, oranges, and reds, that's the actual plain yet cold rain, even some thunderstorms possible here on Thursday. Let me show you more of the local view. So Wednesday, a lot of clouds, a few flurries, sprinkles, sleet pellets, or a stray freezing rain shower. Thinking it's super isolated during the day Wednesday. Travel on Wednesday for now looks fine. Late Wednesday night, seeing more of this pink showing up as the freezing rain and sleet showers start to spread into the hill country, possibly the metro as well. Of course, the green in our eastern counties indicating widely scattered showers. But the coverage of the mix really starts to ramp up between 7 a.m. and noon on Thursday. Green, again, indicating the rain. So the freezing rain and sleet looking more likely in the hill country, and during the day on Thursday, less likely in the metro and our eastern counties. Some of this rain, by the way, could be pretty heavy, but we may go back to more of a mix Thursday night. So a 20% wintry mix coverage here on Wednesday, up to 90% Thursday. But remember, this includes the cold rain as well. Here we think the dividing line between cold rain and a wintry mix is going to be right over the Austin metro. If it wobbles westward, more of us will just get a cold beneficial rain. If it moves eastward, then more of us would be in trouble in the Austin metro. But certainly there could be some iciness in parts of the hill country. But also beneficial rain, 1/4 inch to 1 inch for most of us. Our eastern counties 1 inch to 1.5 inches. This is the liquid precipitation that may not all fall as rain, but eventually will be beneficial. Still, there could be some slippery spots late Wednesday night, Thursday morning, and again Thursday night into Friday morning. This should all wrap up by dawn Friday with drier weather taking over. Saturday and Sunday we're in the 50s and still 50s on Monday.
This is KXAN Sports, brought to you by Thomas J. Henry.
Good evening, all. Happy Monday. Some sporting events just have a bit of a different feel to them, like a good stadium can provide that. Think Lambeau Field in Green Bay. Some teams can help it give it that feel as well, like when these two teams and these two brands match up. They certainly do. Texas and Ohio State, the matchup in the Cotton Bowl this week. The Texas quarterback knows the cachet of the Longhorns and the Buckeyes as well. Quinn Ewers now is the guy that's leading his team to the Final Four for the second straight year based on a 4th and 13 miracle against Arizona State. He spent 3 years with the Longhorns, but how about that blonde hair in Columbus in the fall of 2021? Enrolled early, forego his senior season at South Lake Carroll to be a Buckeye for a semester, then came back to Texas. He was a backup to C.J. Stroud in Columbus and spoke at length about why he went there, what he learned, and why he left.
I learned a lot while I was there under, Coach Day and C.J. and just that whole room was awesome to be around, and super thankful for that time that I got to spend there. And like I said, I learned a whole lot, so I don't regret any decision I made on going or anything like that. So the reason that I came back to Texas was one, to be closer to where I'm from and just closer to the resources that I have and, the relationships that I've built over time just being from Texas. What I really learned from the guys in that room is really how to be a college quarterback and kind of what it takes to be a college quarterback, from preparing in the film room and taking that on to practice and then ultimately the game.
And previewing Longhorns and Buckeyes on Texas Game Day Friday at 5:30 over on KBVO. Well, the SEC for women's basketball is quite the great league. Think of South Carolina and LSU, but that league probably doesn't love having Texas in it. The Longhorns look awfully formidable so far. 2-0 in SEC play, including a big road win against Oklahoma. And then Aaliyah Moore and company had a dominant win against Arkansas a day ago. Looked very good. Moore had 17 points to the senior. She's battled through some major injuries in her time in Burnt Orange. Tendinitis, the big culprit this season. She's had to miss some games as well, but when she's on the court, man, she always grinds.
Been a lot of ups and a lot of downs, but I feel like it's only made me stronger. At the end of the day, I've had the support of my teammates, the coaching staff, Coach Schaefer, and so it's just been every day, whether it's I can give 20, I can give 80, I can give 50, just giving what I can to my teammates and doing the best that I can. And I knew eventually, you know, the work that I was putting in or I was able to put in would pay off, and thank God, you know, I've gotten my injection, and in the past few games I felt pretty good, so I just got to keep that going and, yeah. Pray to God that, you know, just keep that up.
All right, quickly to Austin FC. Big acquisition today for them. Brandon Vasquez, their new designated player on a 4-year contract, comes from CF Monterrey of Liga MX. Spent 7 years in the MLS before that. And quite the warm welcome on a chilly night here in Austin for the newest member of the Verde and Black. More sports over on KXAN.com.